What's up, everybody? It's Frederick Douglass Bussey. Welcome to another edition of Breaking Orbit Podcast. I am your host. I'm founder of Icon Status and host of other things that don't matter right now. But today we want to talk about why failure is not an option, why failure doesn't have to derail you, why you can be as successful as you always wanted to be, even when you fail at massive levels. How can you overcome that and achieve the life and the purpose that you know you were meant to fulfill? Breaking Orbit Podcast starts now. One of the things that I talk about in the book, Breaking Orbit, is the story of a young man. This is the book, Breaking Orbit. And I talk about the story of Cadillac, right? And the interesting thing about it is that what a lot of people don't know is that Henry Ford actually was the one of the original partners at the Cadillac Motor Company. A guy named William Lemuel and Brown were two of the other founders. And there was a dispute, and Ford felt like he was not being fully appreciated, and so he left. And so what looked like a failure actually led to his greatest success. But the thing that was also unknown is that even though Ford left and started the Ford Motor Company, which still exists to this day, Cadillac also went on to be extremely successful in its own right. And so sometimes we can have a difference of opinion, a divergence of views, whatever the case may be. And these things can actually seem like failures in the moment and actually become truly powerful and purposeful points in our lives. Hey, Nicole, great to see you. How are you? So what I wanted to talk about today was this whole idea of failure, because whatever you are doing in your life, whatever you have done, failure is always going to be a part and reality of life. And so no matter what you do, who you are, you're going to fail, right? If you've ever tried to bake a cake, if you've ever tried to build something, if you've ever tried to draw a picture, if you've ever tried to have a relationship or build a business, you will ultimately experience failure at some level. And so the relationship that we have with failure is one of the most defining things that we will ever learn to navigate. And what we tell ourselves about that, who we believe we are, is so crucial to what we're able to overcome or to achieve in our lives. And the reason why this is so important is because for most people, failure becomes a barrier to success. Failure becomes the barrier to moving forward. I end every podcast, every post online with ever forward. The reason why I do that is because it is a reminder to myself that whether anybody reads this, listens to this, or deals with it in any way, engages with it in any way, I will continue to walk in my gift. I will continue to press forward. It's a reminder to those who read and consume the content. This is a frame of mind that failure is not an option. Failure only exists if you quit, right? And what many of us do is that we quit, even though we say we're moving forward, even though we say, well, I'm never going to quit. But there are many of us that really do. It's funny. I was on Twitter, and I shared this with a friend of mine he's a Washington Commanders football fan. And there's this video of Coach Ron Rivera, who is he has invited 3 of his players into his office, and he is surprising them with the news that they have been awarded Pro Bowl nominations. They made the Pro Bowl, right? So the Pro Bowl is like the all-star game for the NFL if you're not a football fan, American football fan, for those of you who are European or otherwise. But the Pro Bowl is a tremendous honor, right? Many people have their contract incentives. They make extra money if they make the Pro Bowl. It acknowledges that you've had an amazing season. And so he is surprising these players. And so one of the players, the last player that he surprises, is a guy named Reeves. And it's interesting, one of his teammates, he's telling the coach Ron Rivera is telling the team members, the other guys on the team who made it, and he's naming them. And so he tells the second player who the last player is. And he's like, can you tell me who it is? And so he tells him, and it's this special teams player named Reeves. And this guy is so excited. He's like, Coach, can I be here when you tell him? I just want to be here when you tell him. He said, yeah, okay, I don't have a problem with that. But Reeves comes in the office and he tells him, and Reeves breaks down crying. And he gives Coach Ron a big hug. And then the other player comes in and daps him up and gives him a big hug and celebrates with him. And it's a very, very emotional moment. And it wasn't until after I'm reading a synopsis of Reeves' career. And over the past 4 years, it has these footnotes that says, he was an undrafted player. He comes into training camp with the Philadelphia Eagles, and he makes the practice squad. He gets put on the active roster. Then he gets back to the practice squad. The practice squad is a team that only gets beat up in practice. They don't actually make it onto the field to play. And he makes the practice squad. He's on the active roster. He's off the active roster, back on the practice squad. This goes on for a couple of times, and then they waive him. They drop him from the team. And so he makes his way to Washington. And over the next 4 years, every footnote is he makes the practice squad. He makes the active roster. He's dropped back to the practice squad. He makes the active roster. He's dropped back to the practice squad. He's waived. He's re-signed to the practice squad over and over and over. There are probably 20 different instances where this guy has had to wake up and say, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And for many of us, you are going to be confronted with that fact, right? Of just moving forward, of just keeping one foot moving in front of the other one, day after day after day. And it will be discouraging in so many different ways, with your relationship, with your business, whatever the case may be. And what you get to do is understand that when you are walking in your gift, when you've discovered that part of you that is the most powerful, the most impactful in this world, you cannot fail. But you will be a failure if you decide to quit, if you never keep moving forward, if you never keep pushing onward. And so the choice is up to you. You get to decide what that's going to be. Imagine if Henry Ford had left the Cadillac company and decided he was never going to build another car. Imagine if the Cadillac founders had decided that because Henry had left, they were never going to move forward. Imagine what their legacy would be. What will your legacy be if you don't keep pressing forward, if you do not step into your gift? What is standing between you and what you were meant to do, what you were meant to be and create in this world? I was having a conversation with a gentleman who talked about the fact that he had built 2 multi-million-dollar businesses and burned both of them to the ground. And yet and still, he had to discover what inside him was going to allow him to move forward for the sake of his family, for the sake of his marriage, right? And when you are in that state of depression or dilemma of anxiety and stress and fear, all those things that are piling up on you, you will have to make a decision. And so the clarity which you can see, yes, Renee, your purpose, but understanding innately your gift that opens up the world for you, right? The Bible says that a man's gift will make room for him. And the story behind that is that in ancient times, when you wanted to see a person of royalty, the king or the queen, what you would do is you would send ahead a gift of great value in order to secure your meeting with the king or the queen. And because your gift was so valuable, it acknowledged that you were a person worthy of being seen and having that audience with the monarch. So what that verse is telling us is that your gift of great value has secured your place in this world. Wherever you are, you possess that gift inside you. You are the possessor of the gift. That is your identity, not your failure, not the things that you want to accomplish or you have accomplished. Those things, they matter only as mile markers, milestones, but those are not the destination. And if we sit by the side of the road and we mourn those milestones of failure or success, then we get mired in the in between, in mediocrity, in languishing and grief. We subject ourselves or create the suffering in our minds that this is who we were meant to be. And trust me, you are going to fail at things, but it is through the failure that you build the foundation for your success. It is through the failure, or on top of the failure, that you build this monument to greatness in your business, in your life, as a parent, as a spouse, as a person, a divinely created individual, meaningful in your very existence. The world needs you. The world needs what you are bringing to the table. And if you are not living out that purpose, if you are not living out your gift, walking in your gift each and every day, you are failing. That's what failure means. But your gift is the way that you can secure your greatness. You put your stamp on the world. You put that dent in the universe. When you walk in your gift, you will not fail. Let me know in the comments what you're discovering from this whole conversation. Has this been valuable for you? And if you would like help in discovering your gift and discovering how you can unleash your superpower into the world to do something greater than you ever imagined, then I hope that you'll reach out, let me know how we can support you. I appreciate each and every one of you watching, for stopping by and for sharing your thoughts. As always, my name is Frederick Douglass Bussey. This has been another edition of the Breaking Orbit podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Breaking Orbit on Amazon now. Breaking Orbit, Rip Out of the Regular by Unearthing the Power Within. We're recording this right before Christmas 2022. And no matter when you're watching this, I hope that it touches you and it empowers you, not just for the new year, but for always. And as always, ever forward.